Hello, everyone. Assalamu alaikum. I'm Jim Ghadbane, President and CEO of CANARIE, the Enranz in Canada. I'm here to talk to you today about collaborating to secure the research and education sector. First, a bit about Canada's Enranz. Canada's Enranz is a federated network. It's made up of a federal backbone, CANARIE, and 13 provincial and territorial networks. You see them all listed there. You also see the connectivity and the reach of the network. It's a fairly expansive network with 31,000 kilometers coast to coast as we connect from the Arctic, the Atlantic, and the Pacific Oceans. We also have about 800 institutions and research facilities connected to the network. From here, we not only provide connectivity within Canada, but we also connect Canadian researchers to researchers around the world. As it relates to cybersecurity, CANARIE's been given funding from the federal government to continue to strengthen the cybersecurity posture at all the connected institutions within Canada. And there's a number of reasons why CANARIE's been tapped on the shoulder to do this, and I'll cover those in a few minutes. But first, just to give you a sense of how the government in Canada sees the magnitude of this threat. This is a press release that was put out by the local news, the Canadian News Network. And what it talked about was the presence of nation actors attacking Canadian infrastructure, going for Canadian intellectual property, and also, trying to tamper with some of our political systems. The magnitude of this threat is such that the only way to sort of address this is to really take a more comprehensive look. And I'll tell you what we're doing in Canada in that regard. Because here's one approach we could take. These little teams of people off trying to figure out how to defend against a fairly significant threat. We chose to be a little bit more inclusive and really take an approach within the country to get everybody to work together. We believe that by working together, not just within Canada, but with the international R&D community, we can provide better solutions and better security for the data that we have, the intellectual property that we collectively generate, and as well, provide sort of financial security, because a lot of these things typically involve threats like ransomware. Why Enranz? A number of years back, I was meeting with a number of you and some others at some of the conferences, like at TNC, and we were describing the cybersecurity threat, and what occurred to us was that Enranz would slowly be brought into the discussion about cybersecurity, and we have a very unique opportunity to work together on this. And why it's unique is that I'm here talking to you today about what's happening within Canada. I'm having very open and frank dialogue with you. There's nothing I'm not telling people within Canada that I'm telling you. And why that is because we work collaboratively. We're all generally not-for-profits trying to serve not just our own countries, but help solve grand challenges that humanity faces by connecting researchers around the world to each other to work on some of these big challenges we have. So given the nature of the network and the network of people, we then end up with a fairly strong network of talent and technology to address this problem. We're already connected to each other, as I mentioned, and every institution that we are looking at securing or help secure is already connected to our networks. And what that affords us is the ability to work with those institutions in a way that other sectors would struggle with. So we can work on their common need. We can share their common need with other countries, other organizations, and really come up with novel solutions that are stronger than what any of us could do by ourselves. So this is a little snapshot of the things we've seen not just happen within Canada, but around the world. Enranz are seen as unbiased organizations that can sort of share with their member institutions the kinds of things that are happening. We really don't have much to sell them other than the idea that working together is going to get them to better outcomes. We can also support adoption of other initiatives, import them from either other national initiatives or things that are happening internationally. We can extend the capabilities. So in many cases, we're here within Canada, we have universities and colleges and CEGEPs, all big and small. The polytechs are generally quite large. Coming up with solutions that there is no one size fits all, and much of what the regional networks are doing, and within Canada, but also opportunity around the world, is to coalesce resources there. So as an example, some of our provincial partners have shared chief information security officers, so shared CISOs, so that the institutions which are smaller and not necessarily able to afford having their own CISO can work through this shared CISO to help secure their institution. And that's important because you can't just think about this from a pure technology perspective. To really advance the charge here, we have to have an approach that embraces technology, people, and processes. And so the ability to extend IT security capabilities with talent addresses the people problem. We can learn from each other. And in the cases where funding is available from governments, we can provide a single voice of the community to get funding that meets the needs of the broad requirements of the institutions we serve. What are we doing here in Canada? Well, here in Canada, we've been at this for, I will say, easily 5 years. 3 years ago, we took an initiative to deploy a security information event manager, a SIEM or SIM, depending on how you like to pronounce it, and deployed one at every of the regional networks and one on our own backbone. And so now collectively, we're monitoring threats that are coming into our network, as well as the networks that connect the institutions directly. But we didn't just deploy technology. As I mentioned, having people is just as critical. So we have a network of analysts across the country that are looking at traffic and anomalous traffic and things that are coming out of the SIEM devices. Going a little further, we've started to assess each other in terms of assessing the current capabilities we have from cybersecurity using standard tools like the NIST framework. Not just for ourselves, but we've now moved into helping connected institutions assess themselves. We are deploying manners to secure the routing tables. This is an initiative we hope that everyone across the global research and education network undertakes, because it will help provide a much more secure experience from one country to the next. The obvious things, and this is again back to the reason why working with Enranz makes a lot of sense, is that we can mitigate DDoS protection on our side of the network rather than subject the institutions to the DDoS attack. And we continue to share best practices across the country in terms of what's working and what's not working. And then lastly, with the funding that we received from the federal government starting in 2020, we are now launching certain initiatives within the sector to support the connected institutions. There's 3 items that we are providing to the institutions at this time, and that program will continue to grow. But those three are having an intrusion detection device. Yeah, so the three items are an intrusion detection system. We use an open source technology called Seek, and we've given everyone, every connected institution is eligible to get a free device to install on their network. And so this gives us the ability to monitor threats that are coming into the institutions. We've worked with the National Registrar for Domain Names and supported offering DNS firewall to the institutions, which essentially blocks access to suspect sites right at the domain name server. And the third thing we're doing is providing a consolidated threat feed that is curated specifically for the sector and made that available to all institutions within the country. So what are we doing on the global side? I already mentioned we are working with the global community on a rollout of Manners. You will hopefully see an write-up on that in the field stories that are supported by our partners around the world. You would have seen an announcement. You may have seen an announcement that came out just this week around threat intelligence sharing between Canada, Australia, US, and the UK. And we hope to continue to broaden that to the global research and education community. And also working with them on some novel ideas around DDoS alerting and blocking. So if we are seeing a DDoS attack that is coming your way, we can block it at our end, and we would hope that you do that for us at some point in the future. So basically the closing comments here is our best defense is to collaborate. We working independently against threats the size of nation states is going to be very difficult for any one of us to protect ourselves. And so we are hopeful that you will join the cause and get involved in some of the global discussions that on cybersecurity, so that we can have a more secure experience for all our connected institutions around the world. Thank you all. I apologize for not being there in person because I would have been able to answer some questions that you might have, but my contact information is here on this last chart. So please feel free to drop me an email if you want to have a further dialogue about this. We know that there will also be an opportunity for a collaboration at the upcoming TNC conference. While it is online, there will be a similar presentation given there by our Enranz partners, and they would be able to answer many of your questions if you were able to participate in that conference. Thank you.